Good evening. We are returning to open session, and Juanita, can you call the roll?
Okay. Juliet Boyd.
Present.
Randy Brockway.
Present.
Michael O'Brien.
Here.
Arthur Perry.
Present.
Rich Regan.
Present.
Mary Rosandia.
Here. All right, we are, first item on our agenda is our public hearing regarding the 2014 property tax levy. Are there any comments or anybody? All right, then I am going to ask that the board approve the adjournment of the public hearing regarding the 2014 property tax levy.
So moved. Second.
Roll call.
Randy Brockway.
Yes.
Michael O'Brien.
Yes.
Arthur Perry.
Aye.
Juliet Boyd.
Aye.
Rich Regan.
Aye.
Mary Rosandia.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Okay, thank you. We do not have any public comment today.
No.
All right, Bhavna, want to tell us about our FOIA request since our last meeting?
Sure, we have one FOIA request, and it is for the closing records of each debt issuance of this public body, which is District 96, since January 1 of 1984, and the response and the responsive documents are enclosed.
All righty. I don't have any announcements. Bhavna, do you have any you'd like to make?
Sure. We'll go by each of our schools, and for Ames, I'd like to congratulate the Pizza with the Principal and Kindergarten Snack with the Principal students for the month of November. Ames congratulates these students for being the most improved academically, making good behavior choices, practicing their social emotional learning strategies, and being good friends to others. For Inclusion Week, students at Ames celebrated Inclusion Week during the first week of December, as well as district-wide, by dressing in unique ways for Mix It Up Day. They also had every student in the school sign our One School community banner, which they proudly hung up in the gymnasium for everyone to see. Duct Tape the Principal and the Teacher. Mr. Gearman and Mr. Juvie helped raise money for the Ames PTA by encouraging each student to sell one or more boxes of cookie dough for their market day sale. Each student earned a strip of duct tape for every batch of cookie dough they sold to tape Mr. Gearman and Mr. Juvie to the wall. The fundraiser proved to be very profitable for our PTA. Ames School Holiday Program. You're all invited to the annual Ames School Holiday Program featuring the kindergarten, first, second, and third grade students tomorrow, December 17th at 6:30 p.m. and they will be performing The Incredible Reindeer. Blythe Park, Support Our Troops fundraiser. Participated in Support Our Troops, America fundraiser, and collected 148 pounds of goods that will be shipped to our troops later this month. Meet Me in the Museum continues to be a success, with over 30 students and parents joining Miss Alvin, the art teacher, in the Elmhurst Art Museum for the month of November. On December 5th, Blythe Park hosted children's author Jim Aylesworth. Mr. Aylesworth presented to District 96 kindergarten and early childhood students, and they were excited to meet, hear his stories, and and sing silly songs with him. Cocoa Run. Blythe Park held its first annual Cocoa Run. Cardio kids, parents, police officers, and firemen participated in this festive event, and I shared the press release with you earlier this month. It was a great way to kick off the holiday season. For Central, the Winter Band, Chorus, and Orchestra concert was held on December 4th. It was a fabulous evening led by the directors that displayed the musical talents of the Central 4th and 5th graders. It was amazing to see how far the students have come in such a short amount of time, and congratulations to all who participated. The Central School Holiday Show was held on December 15th. It was a wonderful evening for kindergarten, first, second, and third grade students. Magical songs filled the Hauser Auditorium with festive energy to bring in the holiday season. Congratulations to all the students and to Mr. House for another wonderful evening. The Central PTO spearheaded the Central School's Kids Care Holiday Collection. The program was created to help promote the importance and impact of charity the holiday season. Kids Care collected donations to help families in need with the Central community. In Hollywood, the Central Student Council is sponsoring Toys for Tots. Toy donations will benefit all children in the Chicagoland area. They are sponsoring the Giving Tree. Donations of winter hats, gloves can be placed on our Giving Tree in the lobby of Hollywood School. These donations will be delivered to Pillars. Hollywood's Mileage Club has wrapped up for the season. The Mileage Club is a fitness initiative for students and staff to run on the RB track during recess on Friday. Total distance so far this year was 264 miles, and they'll be looking to continue the running in 2015 on a new course around the Hollywood neighborhood. For Hauser music concerts took place on December 4th at 11. Concerts featured the grade level bands, orchestras, and choir. All around RBHS took place on November 20th. Riverside Brookfield High School teachers came to Hauser to introduce students to the high school's elective offerings in science, social studies, world language, and broadcasting. The fall play, Sherlock Holmes, The Incredible Murder of Cardinal Tosca, took place on November 18th and 19th. The play included more than 70 students who were involved in all aspects of the production, including acting, stage tech, costuming, and stage design. And boys basketball tryouts and girls cheerleading tryouts will take place the week of December 15th. The basketball season will begin on January 13th at home against Hillside. And just today there was a notice sent home to all of those, to all the families that they will be extending the cheerleading tryouts and the boys basketball tryouts due to the illnesses that are happening at in our district. So that is some good news that they'll extend that piece. And that is all I have.
All right, thank you, Bosna. Next, I would like a motion that the Board of Education accept the proposed changes to the minutes of the previous meeting dates as listed above, except for item number 5, the minutes of the closed session meeting, December 2, because it's not there. So, and that these minutes become formal District 96 records.
So moved. Second.
All right, Juanita?
Juliet Boyd,
Aye.
Rich Regan,
Aye.
Michael O'Brien,
Aye.
Randy Brockway,
Aye.
Arthur Perry,
Aye.
Mary Rose Mangio.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Now, Bosna, you're going to update us on our priorities and goals, right?
Yep. Up on the screen, you will see our monthly report of all of our action plans and goals updates. So for our first goal area of academic and professional excellence, under Objective 1, our special education teachers continue to familiarize students with the PARC format. Through the practice test, accommodations are entered into the student information system, and our all other staff members will be trained in January on how to work with their classroom students. For Objective 2, we're reviewing the KE assessments to determine what students will need to know based on the Common Core state standards. And also, some of our 5th grade classrooms and classrooms at Hauser are exploring the flipped classroom concept with the use of technology. And for our Objective 3, our professional development has been provided to all staff, all special education staff in behavioral strategies, and that was presented by the district social workers. Psychologists have developed and presented an overview of consistent district-wide processes for response to intervention and also for problem-solving process. And the role of the student support team. They presented to the district leadership team last week, and then we'll be sharing it with the special ed staff the first week of January. All staff continue to be focused on grade level collaboration as well as how to implement Common Core during the professional development Mondays. And then we've also finalized instructional technology professional development for the rest of the year based on a professional development survey that was instituted by Mr. Tavano and Mr. Petito earlier this year. For goal area 2 for financial and operational excellence, tonight we are hoping to authorize the architect agreement. So we're going to be working with Leggett to schedule building tours, working with the administrators to develop a facility and improvement plan of recommendation based on priorities. The special education department is completing an inventory of equipment to establish a database of what is housed in the district and review purchases of new equipment for the future. We've also selected security firewall appliances for the new fiber internet connection. And then we are testing and piloting some content filtering solutions for our new fiber internet connection. Objective 3, developing a device inventory analysis to ensure equitable distribution district resources and establishing a device refresh cycle. We're also developing identified critical policies and procedures related to the acceptable use policy for technology and student data privacy. And then Mr. Tafano will be giving an overview of this at the next Educational Committee meeting on January 6th, but preparing a one-to-one pilot with Chromebooks and iPads in certain fifth grade classrooms.
Quick question about the policies and procedures. Do those touch on board policies, or would that be at the administrative procedure level?
It's at the administrative procedure level, but we are going to talk about it at a board level. We don't have any in place right now.
Okay.
We want to make sure that you guys have the first reading for that.
Okay.
Objective 4, the 2013-14 independent financial audit was completed using the modified accrual method of accounting. And then the recommendation for actuary and re-inventory services have developed to be GASB compliant, and they were presented at the last Finance Committee and will be approved tonight. Goal Area 3 for rigorous communication. We are planning for registration of the Early Learners Program. It's taking place will be taking place in January, and we are looking at returning students, siblings of alumni, and registrations to begin will follow. Completed website redesign. We also began migrating to the website from a premise-based server to the district's cloud-based web host. And lastly, Objective 3, we are partnering with our PTA and O's and the Village of Riverside to plan for a parent education event focused on online safety sometime early this winter. And Dr. Kim Patowski, who is an associate professor of Spanish linguistics at UIC, will present to our bilingual families also in the early winter on the benefits of being bilingual. And that is all I have.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions on the enrollment report or the substitute report? Okay. From the school board committees, Mike, you want to talk?
Sure. Finance Committee met, and we put on tonight, we'll vote the resolution to adopt the 2.2% increase for the 2014 tax levy. That'll be voted on tonight. We also talked about the possibility about a tax rebate process, about how that would work, much modeled off the city of Orland Park. We elected to table that discussion and to come back to it to know that's in our back pocket should we ever need to bring that up. We're also looking to either maintain our current auditing firm or hire a new firm. That'll be on the discussion and agenda for tonight. We will also vote to transfer $7.668 million for the from the education fund to the debt service fund. We'll also talked about a demographic study that will be on our docket tonight to vote. We are inching our way towards GASB compliance, and that a couple of those procedures tonight will be voted on. And then Don Trofano updated on where we are with park assessment.
Education committee?
We did not meet because we had another finance committee meeting. Please join us on January 6th, 2015 for the next education committee meeting.
Don't we have a finance committee then? We'll see you then.
Okay, thank you. From the superintendent's committee, policy committee, Bob, do you want to update them on what we did?
Sure. We met a few times, Mary Rose and I, and reviewed policy from press issue 84 and last week from press issue 85. So we would like to recommend for your, from press issue, for a first reading of press issue 85, policy 4:70, which is safety, policy 4:100, insurance management, policy 4:160, environmental quality of buildings and grounds, policy 4:175, convicted child sex offender, Policy 5:280, duties and qualifications of educational support personnel, and Policy 6:150, home and hospital instruction. And we have adopted all of the, or excuse me, we recommend adopting all of the changes that IASB has provided for you in your packet.
And nothing additional?
Nothing additional.
Okay.
The following policies were from last month's issue of Press 84. They were being reviewed by our attorney and also by the Township Treasurer's Office. So policy 4:30, you will see that we're recommending it for a first reading, that after following up with the Proviso Township Treasurer's Office regarding the resolution, the current policy, and whether or not Proviso's Township Treasurer is adopting the new investment laws, and they will be acting as our chief investment officers since they are our Township Treasurer. And also policy 7:180, preventing bullying, intimidation, and harassment. This is a customized version of the press with some two-page county organization and minor revisions, and also a final review from our attorney's office. And other policies, I think that was, and that's it. And then we are recommending all of the policies for a second reading and adoption from press policy 84.
Sorry, so 4:30 and 7:180, we're not taking any action tonight, are they?
First reading.
Okay.
I think that's the way it should be listed.
Which ones are those?
4:30, first reading, 4:30 and 7:180, because they were tabled.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, they're on there.
They're on there?
Oh, item 05.
Okay, but, so I guess the question was, are we still waiting on something from Proviso Township?
No.
No.
The
Oh.
changes have been made. The Township Treasurer's Office will act as our chief investment officer.
Those were the minutes from that meeting, but since that meeting occurred,
Oh, okay,
we've been able to place them on the agenda.
got it, okay.
For both of them. So both those things were.
Oh, I found it, okay, thank you.
Okay. And the Technology Steering Committee, would somebody like to update on it?
I know I see some members here, but I'm going to give you just an update of what Mr. Tufano presented. The committee met on December 4th for several hours and had some great discussion, and I know Mr. Regan and Mr. O'Brien were representing the board at that meeting. We did an overview of our wide area network, internet expansion status. Mr. Tufano reviewed and amended the contract terms, discounted billing process, and estimated completion date of January 9th. He also provided an overview of the security firewall options and the recommendations, and reviewed options and selected Cisco Meraki MX400 as the security appliance of choice. Content filtering options, also reviewed options and elected to test and pilot the cloud-based solution securely that offers filtering on one-to-one devices, one offsite, and a parent portal into students' online activity. Also gave an update, and as I said earlier, Mr. Tufano will provide some more details on the January pilot of Chromebooks and iPads for deployment in 5th grade classrooms, as well as the costs. He also presented the same park assessment technology action plan and outlined that he presented at the Finance Committee meeting earlier in the month, and then also a District 96 technology status roadmap. Presented a multi-year roadmap and district status of current and future technology initiatives through fiscal year 2018, including estimates, associated costs, details, and a formal presentation will be given to the board on January 20th at the next regular board meeting. Also, there will be a IT synergy assessment conducted in early January at no cost to our district. The assessment will assist with identifying key elements to advance the IT operations in order to promote innovation and operational efficiency. Did Michael or Rich, did you want to add anything?
No, I think Don's doing a fine job preparing us for park. There are milestones to hit on this, but we're prepared for those.
Okay.
And it sounds like there is a presentation to us, because I see on these documents here, there are now numbers associated and some sort of budgetary things that we haven't seen before. Are we going to be given those at the January meeting, or are we?
Yes, they'll be provided at the January meeting.
Can we get those in advance so we can look at the have a look at them.
Absolutely. Don, do you anticipate anything being different than maybe what was presented to the Technology Steering Committee? The actual PowerPoint is attached in their packet.
Yeah, I think some of the numbers would be finer tuned by then, but they're good as they are.
Are we going to have more than what's on this, on the presentation that was provided at the Technology Steering Committee? Like the basis where you got the numbers or that sort of information?
Yeah, they've increased up above that, yes.
What are you looking for?
No, just, I just see numbers on here. I have no idea what they're based on, where they came from. That sort of, there's not,
At the steering committee meeting, Don did provide a lot of background for each
Okay.
of those items, so.
right,
you
just
know,
wondering
we
when
can-
we're going to get that.
Sure.
Would you like that in a written format or just presented? I think Mr. Tofano presented them verbally and explained them. Would you like them prior to, like in a written format?
You know, as long as we get them at some point in an efficient way so we can understand what they are, because it, you know, just looking at the presentation, it was hard to see where the numbers came from.
All right, any other questions on the steering committee? All right, Bill, do you have any comments from the Riverside Education Council? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Are there any questions or comments, questions on the financial information items, financial statements, the district credit card statements as of 12/4/2014, or the budget progress statement? All right. Okay, well, then we can start our financial action items. I would like a motion that the Board of Education approve the list of general invoices, Schedule A752, as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Randy Brockway,
Aye.
Arthur Perry,
Aye.
Rich Regan,
Aye.
Juliette Boyd,
Aye.
Michael O'Brien,
Aye.
Mary Rose Mangia.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Okay. Next, up is the approval of the resolution to adopt a certificate of 2014 tax levy and certificate of compliance with the Truth in Taxation Act. I would like motion that the Board of Education approve the resolution to adopt a certificate for a $23,543,760 levy, which represents a 2.2% increase over last year for the 2014 tax levy and certificate of compliance with the Truth in Taxation Act.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion on this before we take a vote?
I would just like to say that, you know, I'm willing to vote yes. At this point last year, there was discussion about looking for opportunities to save money within the district. I'm not satisfied that we've done as much as we could. I think we still need to bear down and really look hard, look for opportunities to save money within our budget. So I'm willing to vote yes for the levy, but I'm still quite concerned about our financial spending.
Thank you for that. I think all of us are probably with you on that. We're going to continue to look for opportunities to reduce our expenses, which is one of our goals. It's one of our goals for the coming year. Anybody else have any comments? All right, Juanita.
Okay, Rich Regan,
Aye.
Michael O'Brien,
I respectfully ask that you come back to me last, please.
okay, Juliette Boyd,
Aye.
Randy Brockway,
Aye.
Arthur Perry.
Aye.
Mary Rose Mangia,
Aye.
Michael O'Brien.
Nay.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Next. This is for formation of a board committee to study options for an engagement of an independent auditor. And I'm going to ask that the Board of Education approve the formation of a board committee consisting of myself and Michael O'Brien to study options for the engagement of an independent auditor.
So moved.
Second.
Okay?
I'd just like to know, does this need a vote to do something like this?
I don't know.
I don't mind voting, I'm just curious.
Well, I thought
If it's a
so.
statutory
I
thing.
think the board, I think the president names the members approved by the board,
Okay.
approved by the rest of the board, so.
Okay.
Okay. Juliette Boyd,
Aye.
Randy Brockway,
Aye.
Arthur Perry,
Aye.
Rich Regan,
Aye.
Michael O'Brien,
Aye.
Mary Rose Mangia.
All right.
Motion passed.
Next is one of the items that Michael talked about earlier, the proposed transfer from the education fund to the debt service fund, which we discussed during the last finance committee meeting. And so I'm going to ask that for a motion that the Board of Education approve the transfer funds in the amount of $6.618 million, $6,618,000 from the educational fund to the debt service fund, internal defeasance of long-term debt as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Michael O'Brien,
Aye.
Randy Brockway,
Aye.
Juliette Boyd,
Aye.
Arthur Perry,
Aye.
Rich Regan,
Aye.
Mary Rose Mangia.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Next are two items that would bring us in compliance with which is the GASB 45. The first one is to engage an actuary to provide an other post-employment benefit study. So again, I'm going to ask that for a motion that the Board of Education approve the GASB 45 consulting proposal from Donlin and Associates to provide another post-employment benefit study for District 96 as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Randy Brockway,
Aye.
Michael O'Brien,
Aye.
Arthur Perry,
Aye.
Rich Regan,
Aye.
Juliette Boyd,
Aye.
Mary Rose Mangia.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Next is the second part of another motion to bring us in compliance with GASB 45. This would be to engage in a company to complete a fixed asset re-inventory. So I'm again asking for a motion that the Board of Education approve the appraisal agreement from Industrial Appraisal Company to complete a fixed assets re-inventory for District 96.
So moved.
Second.
Juliette Boyd,
Aye.
Michael O'Brien,
Aye.
Arthur Perry,
Aye.
Rich Regan,
Aye.
Randy Brockway,
Aye.
Mary Rose Mangia.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Okay. All right, next, for some more action items, I would like a motion that the Board of Education approve the district architect contract with Legat Architects as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Arthur Perry,
Aye.
Randy Brockway,
Aye.
Juliette Boyd,
Aye.
Michael O'Brien,
Aye.
Rich Regan,
Aye.
Mary Rose Mangio?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Next item is a proposed enrollment projection study. And again, I'm asking that the Board of Education approve the hiring of Dr. Casarda to conduct a proposed enrollment projection study for District 96.
So moved.
Second.
Aye.
Yes.
We're gonna slow down this
Okay.
Gotta talk about something.
Finance committee's been very efficient so
We
far.
discussed two of these professionals at our last meeting.
Right.
Can you outline who this man is and why is he qualified to perform this?
I'm going to actually defer to David. We're taking David's recommendation on this, and this is discussed in our last Finance Committee meeting.
In Dr. Casarda's letter, he readily offers that he has conducted more than 200 demographic studies and enrollment projections for Chicago suburban school districts during the past 40 years. His depth of experience is, I think, unrivaled, and the list of school districts that are that he offers in his letter, I think those are school districts that are they're going to expect a high standard of performance. I have no reason to expect other than a high standard of performance, and I've been a past customer representing a school district, working with Dr. Casarda and his team. And he works through the University of North Carolina. His team is comprised of people that are leaders in the field of demographic studies. So I really think we would be choosing one of the most prominent and well-respected demographers that we possibly could.
David, for what was the proposed price?
$6,900.
Just, talking with people, my personal preference would be to vote against it, just because I don't see what a demographic study is going to do. We're overcrowded. The real problem is that we should try focusing on the situation at hand, especially at Ames, when we have, too many sections of kindergarten that are coming in, and that problem just keeps moving on, not only at Ames, but also we just keep kicking the can down the road, and I just don't see how a demographic study is going to benefit us.
Don, could you, or, sorry, Dave, could you comment on what we can expect, what data and projections that we might expect?
I think if a demographer provides you with enrollment projections, if I may editorialize a little bit, if a demographer provides you with enrollment projections that are straight line, easy to predict, then I don't know that value is there in the $6,900 fee. Where a demographer is very valuable is if there's a change in the trend line. The change in the trend line is what a demographer is supposed to give a school district early warning. So we could plan based upon straight line projection. You hire a demographer as a risk management tool because there's a risk that straight line projection is inaccurate. We ask the demographer to provide you with, and he will give us 3 projections, high, medium, low. School districts typically expect that his medium projection is going to be what transpires. The demographic projection history at this school district, I think there was an expression that those projections were not as accurate as one would hope. And in fact, when we looked at it, it was more, our actual enrollment growth was on the high trend line. You really don't want a demographer that you can't rely on that middle projection. So we would take that middle projection from the demographer and build that into our financial projection modeling and into facilities planning. So the two major categories of usage for demographic projection is to take those numbers and incorporate them into your planning, and hopefully you can have that crystal ball view of the future. Is it always going to work out accurately? No, but I think the school district has shown some significant growth over the past 10 years. I think we had some numbers that were under 1,300 10 years ago, and now we're getting close to 1,700. And it would benefit the school district to know whether that's going to flatten out or if that trend line is a straight line continuing to go up or even possibly going down. I don't think we have the expertise in-house to provide that kind of a projection.
I'm going to support this. This is for the reasons that David just laid out. When we plan for the future, we have to base it off of something. We're busting at the seams in one school, but is that going to continue? We need to back down to a document that provides a basis for that.
I also think if we're looking at facilities design, then you're talking potentially about spending millions. Spending $6,000 to make sure you're building the correct amount of space or doing it properly is probably a prudent measure.
Is this projection, is this at all required by the state?
No. It's a good tool, in terms of the external environment. I would say that a bond rating agency would ask how you're doing planning, and to be able to say that your financial forecasting and your facilities planning is based upon a professional demographer's engagement, that would be a positive. And the other, I think, thing that should be also mentioned is that many school districts routinely employ a demographer, and you don't want to have your enrollment projections get too stale. The most recent projection that this district has been working from stopped in, I think it's 2010. So we've had a few years transpire, and during those few years we've had significant enrollment growth. So I think it would be a 4-year window before you refresh your enrollment projections is relatively normal among public schools in this region.
I think certainly if we're going to have a facilities review and we're going to do a strategic plan, it would be a good basis for strategic planning, which we've expressed an interest in completing. David, if we were to, let's say we would approve this resolution, this motion this evening, when would the study be completed?
I believe it's 90 days. That depends on our internal effort to provide all the data, to be responsive to the pieces that he relies upon from the school district, and I would consider it a very high priority for us to forward all the information that the demographer has requested. I've been through this process. There's a lot of interaction with the demographer.
So we would have...
It's necessary, and I don't think it would be a problem, but it does take time, and we've got to make sure that we're not a bottleneck in the process.
Yeah, yes, they do their work based on information, and we have to provide it.
The proposal calls for 60 days to provide the report.
60 days?
Right.
If I could just make a quick comment, I think those are all great reasons, the financial projections. Facility planning, I'm frustrated with. I probably share your feeling, Michael. Maybe others share the feeling too, that just because our last demographer didn't seem to be very accurate, it still became an issue staring us in the face, and I'm not sure that we, and by that I mean the Board of Ed over time, did deal with it really well. And so I guess my question is, and my frustration is, where do we go forward? We're very constrained here, just mostly from a, physical plant perspective of where we can put classrooms. So that's always going to be something the board's going to have to struggle with, regardless of whether a demographer tells us what's going to happen down the road. So I guess I'm a little bit iffy about whether we should do this or not, but I understand the value, I guess, theoretically. But in practical terms, I'm still a little bit frustrated and not sure where we go with it, so.
Well, what we have to do is do something with the information in terms
Right.
of facilities planning. So that would be the next step, right?
Often demographers are a source of expertise related to redistricting and determining what are the appropriate attendance boundaries for individual schools within a school district. I think it's pretty well recognized that can be a contentious process.
Yes,
People
especially in
not
Riverside.
being happy with the outcome. I think if you're making a decision based upon the best information that can possibly be gathered, that's, I think, a better place to be than it being something that, an administrator or a board member's team is coming up with that don't have the credentials.
That's a good point. I'll just point out informationally, though, we've had the equivalent of an entire school in the district as far as enrollment, and we didn't build one, so redistricting isn't necessarily going to make a huge difference there, but it's just something we need to deal with now, so.
I think your point's well taken. We need to get serious about this again.
Okay.
Yeah, what good is the information if we don't use it?
Okay.
So I guess if you're voting for this, it's a commitment to use it. To plan based on it. All right, any other comments before we take the roll? We do have a motion on the table, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Rich Regan,
Aye.
Arthur Perry,
Aye.
Michael O'Brien,
No.
Mary Rose Mangia,
Aye.
Randy Brockway,
Aye.
Juliette Boyd.
Aye.
Motion is passed.
Next, Comcast service agreement, First Amendment. We have already improved the engagement of Comcast for high-speed WAN and internet services, and this is just approval of the contract. So I'm asking for a motion that the Board of Education approve the Comcast service agreement and First Amendment for the high-speed WAN and internet service as presented.
So moved.
Anybody want a second? I guess.
Second.
Nice to move this move.
Randy Brockway,
Yes.
Juliette Boyd,
Aye.
Michael O'Brien,
Yes.
Arthur Perry,
Aye.
Rich Regan,
Aye.
Mary Rose Mangia.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Okay. Next, a motion to override the override our class size policy. And again, I'm asking for a motion that the Board of Education approve to override the class size policy in the fourth grade from 25 to 26 students as presented.
So moved.
Second.
I would just say refer to demographer discussion 2 minutes ago. Sorry.
Okay.
Randy Brockway,
Aye.
Juliette Boyd,
Aye.
Arthur Perry,
Aye.
Michael O'Brien,
Aye.
Rich Regan,
Aye.
Mary Rose Mangia.
Aye.
Motion passed.
All right, now, a series of motions on our IASB policies. The first will be, motion that I will be asking for will be a first reading for IASB Press Issue 84. These would be two policies, the policy 4:30, revenues investments, and this would override the existing policy, including the resolution that was attached, and also the policy 7:180, preventing bullying, intimidation, and harassment, rewritten. So again, I would like a motion that the Board of Education approve policy 430, revenues and investments, and policy 7:180, preventing bullying, intimidation, and harassment, rewritten, for a first reading. We're approving it for a first reading now, for a second reading, and adoption at the January 20th, 2015 regular business meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Michael O'Brien,
Aye.
Randy Brockway,
Aye.
Juliette Boyd,
Aye.
Rich Regan,
Aye.
Arthur Perry,
Aye.
Mary Rose Mangia.
Aye.
Motion is passed.
Right, next will be, this would be a second reading and final adoption for other policies from the IASB Press Issue 84. This would be policy 2:30, school district elections, policy 2:110, qualifications, terms, and duties of board members, or board officers, policy 5:10, equal employment opportunity and minority recruitment, policy 5:125, personal technology and social media usage and conduct, policy 5:180, temporary illness or temporary incapacity, policy 5:190, teacher qualifications, policy 5:240, suspension, policy 5:35, compliance with the Fair Labor Standards Act, policy 7:70, attendance and truancy, policy 7:140, search and seizure, policy 7:190, student discipline, and policy 8:95, parental involvement. Again, I ask for a motion that the Board of Education approve the policies that I read for final adoption as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Michael O'Brien,
Aye.
Arthur Perry,
Aye.
Rich Regan,
Aye.
Juliette Boyd,
Aye.
Randy Brockway,
Aye.
Mary Rose Mangia.
Aye.
The motion is passed.
Okay, final policy action item with regard to ISB Press Issue 85. These would be policies for a first reading. And again, these would also, we're approving them for a first reading now, to be posted to the website for a period of 30 days, and then moved to January 20th, 2015 regular business meeting for a second read and final adoption. The policies are policy 4:100, insurance management, policy 4:160, environmental quality of buildings and grounds, policy 4:170, safety, policy 4:175, convicted child sex offender, and this would include material that was relocated from policy 4:170, policy 5:280, duties and qualifications, educational support personnel, and policy 6:150, home and hospital instruction. So again, I ask for a motion that the Board of Education approve the policies that I just read for a first reading as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Randy Brockway,
Yes.
Michael O'Brien,
Yes.
Rich Regan,
Aye.
Juliette Boyd,
Aye.
Arthur Perry,
Aye.
Mary Rose Mangia.
Aye.
The motion is passed.
Any new business? Any discussion items anybody would like to?
Yes, I have one. This is to do with the RB High School project for demolition on the football stadium and work on the football field. We got our weekly update. Bhavna, you had a construction meeting with Mr. Preble, the Hollywood principal, and the superintendent at RB, Dr. Kevin Skinkis. I don't know how much we want to recap on that to let people know what's going on, but since obviously the football stadium is very close to the actual building of Hollywood School, I have concerns about what kind of impact that'll have on instruction and students in class and just around the school during the time that that's going on. Can you just recap that a little bit for us real quick?
Sure. Mr. Preble and I met with Dr. Skinkis, Miss Smetana, the principal, as well as their construction team. So they had their construction manager and 2 architects from the firm they're working with. I believe it's DLR, and they will start having regular construction meetings in January, which will be on a weekly basis, and Mr. Preble will be attending those. They are going out to bid this week, and I believe the bids, they'll be getting back the first week of January and then approving the contractor. And then phase 1 of the project will be January 19th, I believe, through March 19th. So there's a 2-month period that they'll be doing the phase 1 of construction. I know that Dr. Skinkis also extended an invitation for the 2 Hollywood PTA presidents, Mrs. Didio and Mrs. Gersh, and they'll be meeting with Dr. Skinkis and Mr. Preble on Thursday just to kind of review everything to get the community informed and involved. So at those weekly meetings, they're going to kind of go over a schedule, and it's going to be weather dependent because we are talking January, February, March, of what they can construct, what can they demolish, what can they drill into the holes. I know Kurt is going to go over a schedule with them weekly of when maybe students are testing, when is an ideal time. There is no ideal time, when is the lunch hour, so maybe, avoiding the drilling or avoiding the pouting during the core instructional day. No promises, but they did say that they're aware that it's near a school and they're going to do their best to limit the noise as much as possible and keep it as limited to that January 19th, March 19th timeframe. Mr. Preble, did you want to add anything?
Just so you're aware that there's a new section on our New Hollywood website. If you go under our schools, there will be an RB construction update post. I actually posted the first one today just to explain that it was going to be there. I touched on some of the details that we went over in the meeting. More will be coming over the next couple of weeks. The main concern is our safety of our students, families, and staff at any given time, as well as the interruption of instruction. So we'll be working closely. They will have a supervisor on site full-time that I will have direct contact with. I'll be meeting with them each week, but if there's anything that needs to be addressed at any given time, we'll have that relationship. As Dr. Sharma-Lewis said, there is no ideal time to have the construction. So the reality of the situation is, what can we do to make sure it's done at maximize the opportunities that there are. I'll be supplying a schedule not only of our assessments, but the district schedule as well, highlighting any, if there's an institute day that would be ideal for them if they have to do something out of the ordinary. That's what they would do it. I mean, the biggest concern is when they come in to knock it down is not so much as noisy as that might be, but loading of dump trucks, and if they get stuck in a spot and they have to jackhammer something, what is that going to look like? Do they need to jackhammer the same spot for 8 hours straight? Maybe we can work around that. So the communication back and forth is going to be one of the most important aspects of this, which is why I'm also going to communicate what is being discussed on the website update. And you should see those, once we get this thing rolling in mid to late January, those will be updated each week. Between now and then, I might have a couple things if I'm hearing something, or if we talk about something Thursday that I think should be passed on to the community, that'll be there as well. And we went over like what the perimeter of the construction site's going to look like. This thing's going to happen in 3 phases. Phase 1 is the demolition. The area from the side of where the library is at the Hollywood School, There's going to be a fence, temporary fence coming off of the corner of the parking lot. I'm not describing this very well, but the southeast corner of the building on about a 45-degree angle to where the fence is that surrounds the football field. It'll be there. That'll be all closed off, and some temporary fencing going north from the building through the green space. Equipment will be loaded through the gate onto the track. So really, I was pleasantly surprised to see that the impact of the Hollywood footprint would be minimal.
One other thing that they are going to be taking away from parking spots, I believe providing staff parking spots at the zoo, because they're going to be having to take over some parking lots that currently are on the Hollywood parking lot. I believe did it say 12?
There's 6 parking lots. It's kind of like the alley in between Hollywood and the football stadium that we use as parking and along the fence line. Those will not be available. So it's not, I forget the name of the road at the north end.
Rockefeller?
Rockefeller, thank you. They will be displacing some student parking to provide us, our staff, with parking there if we need it.
Okay. I'll just make one comment too. We went through in District 96 major projects over 2 summers, 5 buildings. And I think the administration, the staff, and the board went to great lengths to try to minimize any impact to student learning during that process. And I'd like to sort of try to expect the same from District 208 as much as we can, since we're, clearly impacted. So that's all I would ask, and that we remain very vigilant on it. And I appreciate your efforts to stay on top of that. I'll look at the Hollywood School website, hopefully. If you have any maps or layouts or things that can let people know what to expect, that would be very helpful, I think.
Dr. Skiggis is going to forward them to Mr. Preble and myself, and then I'll make them available on the district website too.
Okay, thanks.
I would like to see maybe after the first meeting that Sal, you say there's going to be weekly, if we could get a report as to, I'm concerned with the demolition, the length of time that it's going to take, how many working days, dust control, noise concerns. It's been said a couple of times that there is no ideal time to do this, but certainly the least ideal time to do this would be during a school day. We just had a Riverside fire station taken down, demolished on Northgate Court in our neighborhood, and a brick structure much smaller than the stadium required demolition, trucks hauling in and out for weeks, and it can have a major impact on the school. And I would like to see, more specifics as to what is being done to address these concerns.
Those will be in my weekly report too, and we'll start, I don't have a first date for any of the meetings yet, but as we get closer to that January 19th target date, that's when I anticipate these meetings beginning. But everything that we talk about will be forwarded on to you as the board, also onto the community via the website. One thing to note too is that I was told at these weekly meetings, they will plan out, there's always an overview, but they're going to plan out specifics of the following 2 weeks, or the next 2 weeks, so we can have some of those time frames will be much more specific once these meetings start.
This is an old concrete structure, and I've expressed to you my concern about environmental testing and so forth. Has there been, will there be some sign off as to air quality, dust, dealing with lead and asbestos?
That I do not know, but I will find out for you.
And the thing is, you know, for us to be proactive about this, you know, we need to know before the 18th or the 19th, you know, the day before it starts. So I'm just trying to get a heads up on this, so that we're not dealing with a situation at hand that is undesirable and something that we could have predicted or worked around.
I do know that they are doing some preliminary work inside the structure that has to do with asbestos removal, things of that nature. So I will get more specifics on that for you.
I do know here in Riverside, to take down a one-car frame garage, you need to have a county inspector come out and give a write-off on lead and asbestos. So if that's required from a one-story frame garage demolition, I would expect the same or more with this large structure. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.
That was all I had.
Okay, anybody else have anything?
I would just like to have a question or concern expressed about some recent pedestrian accidents around Hauser and Central. And I guess, you know, we undertook a traffic study with the village. And did the traffic study look at some of these issues of crosswalks and that we're having problems with over at Atkins-side and Long Common?
It was more of the traffic study with parking, so the handicap accessible drop-off and parking zone in the front, and then the thoroughway as well as the drop-off and the pick-off in the back with Hauser and Central. They didn't really look specifically at pedestrian crosswalks.
Yes. I did see the comment, Mr. Gatz, you were saying that you recommend that students do not use this intersection where the gentleman was hit the other day?
We don't have students cross there for that reason, because there are so many intersections that come to that point, or so many streets that come to that point.
Right.
We have a designated area rear of the building on the Higgins side, and then on the front on Woodside at the stoplight where students cross in the morning. One, there's crossing guards, two, and we feel it's the most controlled area in terms of traffic flow, that we can see very well in each direction where vehicles are coming from.
With that said, does our student body and our parents, do they know that you discourage use of that one intersection?
That was in place before I came to District 96.
Yeah.
That's not something that was new over the last year or so. It's been that way.
It's something that's, that needs to be communicated?
Reminded?
Reminded? There've been two potentially serious accidents, you know, one at Atkins-side just 2 days, yesterday or 2 days ago?
It was yesterday.
Yesterday.
And then the one last month?
That was further up.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was my daughter.
It was your daughter?
That was my daughter.
Yeah.
And that one further up, there was a crossing guard present situation at that crossing.
Right. I guess I'm expressing concern about the safety of pedestrians around our schools and whether or not we need to ask the village and the police department to perhaps look closer or look again, make some recommendations to us so these types of incidents don't happen again.
We received, Dr. Charles and I received an email back from Chief Whitesell this afternoon about some further investigations that they did. as the Riverside Police Department, some actions they're going to take in terms of looking at traffic moving forward throughout the rest of this school year. We certainly we can share that email with you.
And we'll provide a report, or excuse me, a reminder, as we promised in the email to the parent, just where to cross, where there's crossing guards and what specific intersections to cross at.
Very good. I just would hate to see somebody get hurt and something that we can avoid.
Agreed.
I'm just going to announce the future meeting dates. January 6th, as Art told us earlier, there will be an Education Committee meeting at 7 p.m. here, right here at Hauser. On January 20th, again, another regular business meeting at 6:30. We will start our closed session again, and 7:30 our open session here at the Hauser Learning Center. February 3rd, another Finance Committee meeting at 7 p.m. February 17th, again, the regular business meeting at 6:30 closed session, 7:30 return to open in Learning Center here at Hauser. March 3rd, the Education Committee meeting, 7 o'clock in the Learning Resource Center at Hauser. And St. Patrick's Day, March 17th, the regular business meeting at 6:30 p.m. in the Learning Resource Center at Hauser. I'm also going to call for approval of the personnel report at this time. Does anybody feel the need to discuss it further? All right. Then I'm going to ask that the Board of Education approve the personnel report for December 18th, 2014 as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Randy Brockway,
Yes.
Michael O'Brien,
Yes.
Arthur Perry,
Aye.
Rich Regan,
Aye.
Juliette Boyd,
Aye.
Mayor Roseman.
Aye.
The motion is passed.
All right, and I'm also going to call for a motion to again enter into closed session for the purpose of discussing the employment, compensation, discipline, performance or dismissal of specific employees, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee to determine its validity, and also collective negotiating matters between the school board and its employees or their representatives or deliberations, concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees.
So moved.
Second.
I'm going to take the roll one in.
Okay, Juliette Boyd,
Aye.
Randy Brockway,
Aye.
Rich Regan,
Aye.
Arthur Perry,
Aye.
Michael O'Brien,
Aye.
Mayor Roseman.
Aye.
And the motion passed.